In today's film, I will do my best to answer a subscriber question. Welcome back to the channel. If you love your antiques, vintage and collectibles, then please consider subscribing, as I regularly upload videos covering all aspects of the trade. If you do subscribe, it helps to promote the channel's visibility and grows our community. So if you think I deserve your subscription, please hit that button and the notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. Also, if you do subscribe, let me know approximately where in the world you are so I can add you to our virtual subscriber map. I don't need your name and address, just a rough location such as your town or city. It's only a bit of fun, and I'll include the digital map showing our global community in a future film. So, down to business. But before I answer the question, I should point out that this film is intended for small business sellers working from home and sourcing unique items in the category of antiques, vintage and collectibles with the intention of selling them on for profit. Not private sellers who are listing personal possessions to raise a bit of cash, or for that matter, large business sellers operating out of rented premises and shifting thousands of stock items a year purchased through warehouse clearances or similar. For legal reasons, I should also point out that I am not a professional business or financial advisor, and so this film is based purely and exclusively on my own personal experience selling online over quite a few years. So if you need professional advice, I recommend that you speak to a qualified accountant in the first instance and take it from there. Right, enough of the housekeeping. Here's the question, which comes from a regular viewer, commenter and subscriber, Mick. He asks, how about a video on pricing items to sell online? I'm totally lost at it. Do you do it by percentage or double your money? Also, the 99p start auction. Well, Mick's question got me thinking. Quite hard, actually. When you've been selling online for a number of years, it does become a little bit like riding a bike, especially if you are selling similar types of items on a regular basis. However, if you are new to the business, then deciding what to list your item online for can be a daunting prospect. So here are some of my top tips to help you price your stock competitively and, most importantly, consistently. I thought the best way to illustrate my pricing method is to use an example. You can then build on my example by following the steps and applying them to your own items. You can then be reasonably confident you are pitching your items at approximately the right price. It can never be a definitive method, as every business is different, particularly in relation to overheads and associated costs, which depend entirely on your individual circumstances, not least your profit target, which may be way different to mine. So this video should be used purely as the basis for you to work out your own base costs, including listing price and profit target. If you are new to selling antiques, vintage and collectibles online, I would recommend that you focus on one or two specific items to begin with, such as the example we are going to use, a pair of antique brass candlesticks. You can then research your chosen item in reference books, auction sales, on other platforms such as Etsy, online using Google, or even better by using eBay sold listings. Researching your item will enable you to get a really good idea of the price range they sell for. And by that I mean the low, average and high price your item is achieving. If you are selling on eBay, then I always recommend you check eBay sold listings, which will show you the past 3 months sales. Or if you have an eBay shop, you can also use the Terapeak tool, which gives you the past 12 months sales and also provides you with additional details such as average postage costs and loads of other useful information. So if you have a shop, check it out. To be honest, Terapeak is a whole other film in itself. So if you want me to feature Terapeak in a future video, let me know in the comments. Once you have completed your price research using eBay sold listings or Terapeak, My advice to new sellers is to then use the average price to list your item. However, it's not quite as simple as that, and here's why. Thinking about Mick's question, I decided I had to turn it on its head to fully answer it. Sounds strange? And what do I mean by that? Well, in my opinion, it's not pricing your listing that is the difficult part. As I have already said, just check out eBay sold listings or Terapeak to get a really good idea of what you should be selling for. The answer to the whole conundrum, in my opinion, is actually knowing what you need to buy your item for in the first place in order to sell it on and still make a profit. Take our example of the candlesticks. It's all very well researching them and then pricing them at £30 because that's the rate compared to other similar listings, but that's not the whole story. The big unknown is, what should I be buying the candlesticks for in the first place in order to sell them at the average price and still make a profit? How do I work that out? That, to a lot of new sellers, is the big mystery. So, in my opinion, that's the root of Mick's question. And based on my own personal experience, here's what I recommend you do. From the outset, it's absolutely essential that you work out all of your overheads. And by that, I mean your fixed and variable costs associated with buying your candlesticks and listing them in the first place. Think about it. It's no good listing your item at the average sale price if you have paid too much for it in the first place, or if you have incurred overheads and direct costs that make the sale unprofitable. In my opinion, these hidden costs are the most important factors you have to take into account when selling anything online. The process of identifying these costs sounds boring and overly complicated, but it's actually simple to work out when you think clearly and logically about the contributing factors. So here's what you need to consider if you aspire to run an eBay business selling antiques, vintage and collectibles from your home office. Firstly, are you going to charge for your time? Well, yes and no. What exactly do I mean by that? For example, if you have been out picking for 3 hours and you only come back with 3 items, you can't charge your time at 1 hour per item. Being blunt, it will blow you out of the water when buyers compare the price of your item to the prices of other similar items available. It's much better to set an annual income target or salary and then aggregate this aspired annual salary or profit across all of the items purchased in that year as a percentage of the sale price. In other words, spread the load. So the more items you purchase in a year, the lower the pro rata percentage hourly rate becomes based on your fixed annual target salary. But I do warn you, it will put pressure on you to get out there and buy and sell a sufficient amount of stock to bring down the salary allowance per item and still hit your annual target. If you don't do this, you will most likely still make a small profit, but it won't be enough to sustain your business and may well be eaten up by your overheads. Your business will in fact become more like a side hustle to make a few quid to put towards a family holiday or that new car. But maybe that's your target. It's entirely up to you. The second consideration is office overheads, including, for example, buying postage scales, stationery, running costs, comms and IT. Make a list and try to include everything you can think of. Thirdly, you need to estimate your travel costs and expenses when you are out on the road picking, including fuel and subsistence. If you are self-employed, you are likely to be claiming mileage from your business, so this should definitely be taken into account as an associated cost. Don't forget packaging and associated consumables such as bubble wrap, tape and boxes. It's easy to forget these when you're working out the cost of listing an item. Fifth on the list are the dreaded eBay fees and charges, including your shop subscription, insertion and promotion fees and the final value fee. These will make up a significant percentage of your costs associated with selling online, so it's essential you fully understand them and account for them. Finally, one of the most important decisions you have to make is who pays for the postage. Are you going to offer free postage or will the buyer pay? Who's going to bear the cost? You decide. But remember, if you offer free postage as part of your listing, it comes out of your pocket and it's into your profit. So, those were just some of the factors that underpin the gross sale price you hope to achieve when you list an item online. Hopefully, you can now see that simply going out and buying an item based on your gut feeling isn't always the best way to make money. So, to recap, and based purely on my own experience, this is what you need to be focusing on. Research and establish the average sale price of your item. Know your fixed and variable costs, including all eBay fees, subscriptions and charges, and whether you offer free postage or buyer pays. Me personally, well, as a rule, I adhere to, wherever possible, the 1/3 rule. This roughly breaks down as 1/3 purchase price, 1/3 direct eBay costs, fixed and variable overheads allowing for shipping, 1/3 profit, which you can take as a salary or reinvest in the business. For example, using the 1/3 rule and based on an average sale price of £30, you would need to purchase the candlesticks for no more than £10, ideally cheaper, and secure the target sale price of £30 to achieve what I would call a financially viable sale. It won't happen on every sale you make. Sometimes you might pay a bit less and pick up a bargain, and other times you will go the extra mile to get that item and pay a little bit more if it's a one-of-a-kind item and you just have to have it. But as the backbone of my business, I do try to stick to this 1/3 policy wherever I can. As a rule of thumb, and to help achieve your 1/3 target, if you list the candlesticks as buy it now with best offer, I would list them for £35 with an expectation of accepting a £30 offer. You might be lucky and the buyer at the end of the rainbow may come along and purchase the candlesticks at the full asking price of £35, in which case your profit margin has increased. Happy days. The final part of Mick's question is, what about the 99p auction? Personally, selling unique antiques, vintage and collectibles, I rarely go anywhere near eBay auctions when I am selling. They are a total gamble if you don't set a reserve price, which will cost you, by the way, an additional listing fee. And you stand to lose a lot of money if your auction listing isn't picked up by the buyers or the eBay algorithm doesn't promote it. Yes, you can do well at an auction, especially if it's a rare item that everyone is after. But in my experience, the average item doesn't fare well compared to setting a buy it now price with best offer and leaving it listed as a sleeper item for as long as it takes to sell. Having said that, auctions are a good way of shifting old stock that's been hanging around if you don't mind taking a hit and just want to recoup some of the money to reinvest in new items. So my advice is to be strategic in your thinking when deciding on buy it now or auction. So there you go. Hopefully this quick video has helped you new starters out there to get your head around pricing items for online selling, and more importantly, what factors and costs you need to consider first when buying your stock. Being completely honest, it's not always as simple as the 1/3 rule, and sometimes you find an item you can't live without. Your heart rules your head and you simply have to have it. That's great and is all part of the fun and enjoyment of picking antiques, vintage and collectibles. Just don't let those rushes of blood happen too often or your successful business will soon turn into an expensive hobby. Anyway, that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed this film and found it useful. Please like, comment and subscribe for more content like this, and as ever, please share this video to grow the community, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.